JD, we'll never have perfect information. I mean, that's just the truth. We'll never have perfect information. And if you have an individual that has never crossed with the law, where we don't have information, that might have been engaged in some of these terrorist camps in some of these different countries, we just don't have the information.
Senator Ron Johnson on this program last night after holding a hearing on the visa waiver program. You heard him. He's frustrated, saying we'll never have perfect information, but efforts have been made to close some of the gaps in the wake of Tashfeen Malik obtaining a fiancé visa. Let's talk about it right now more with a gentleman who voted on this issue on the floor of the United States House earlier this week. From Newsmax, Washington, we welcome in Congressman David Jolly of Florida. He serves as a member of the Appropriations Committee as well as the Veteran Affairs Committee, and he is running for the U.S. Senate seat currently occupied by Marco Rubio. You want to get to the Senate, David. You heard what Ron Johnson had to say. He was also quick to point out that he sponsored in the Senate the companion piece of legislation to what the House did the other day. What did you guys do, and is it enough?
JD, good to be with you this evening. Listen, there is more we can do. We are, unfortunately, I believe, a nation at war. ISIS is not contained, and the president's policies have failed. And so we need to make sure we are providing for the security of our homeland and every American across the country. One of the ways we do that, first and foremost, is to get control of our borders. We need to have border security reform so we can
David,
have
I got to stop
control.
you right there, because that's more of the frustration. I said that a decade and a half ago. We continue
right.
and then let's be candid about it. Everybody on both sides of the aisle says we must enforce the borders. But when push comes to shove, that's not happening. Specifically, with the spousal visa, what do you think the big improvement is that you guys made the other day on the House floor?
So strengthening the vetting of all visa applicants, and particularly for those who have traveled to a country like Iraq or Syria or another area that we know there is a threat. If they have traveled there recently, then they should not be eligible for expedited entry, which is what the visa program provides for. You saw the House also move to strengthen our refugee resettlement vetting. We need to increase surveillance of homegrown terror. And yes, we do need to accomplish operational control of the border. Those four things are things we need to do right now to protect our homeland.
David, do you have any confidence that this administration, after all charged with administering the laws, do you have any confidence this current commander-in-chief will sign whatever legislation comes out of your deliberations with the Senate? But do you have confidence that, in fact, this administration will execute what you guys put into law?
Listen, there's reason to question it. Now, the president has suggested he will sign the visa waiver bill. He has said he's opposed to the refugee resettlement bill. The president's policies have failed. First thing the president needs to do is take the fight to ISIS overseas and destroy them on their soil so they don't come to ours. But accept the fact that we are a nation at risk with a porous border, with a visa program and a refugee program that need to be strengthened.
Fair enough. I got to move to something else. David,
president.
Less than a minute and a half remains, and I want to make sure we use the time well. The spending bill. Talk of another shutdown. I'll tell you what I'm hearing. I'm hearing, meet the new speaker, a lot like the old speaker, that if push comes to shove, Paul Ryan will pass a continuing resolution with Democrat votes. And, of course, included in this will be funding Planned Parenthood. Is that a good thing to do? We got a minute left.
Sure. Conservatives only win. We only advance our principles by governing and keeping the government open and passing spending bills that reflect our priorities. You know, one of the issues is this refugee resettlement strengthening. That is trying to be attached to the budget bill. Planned Parenthood as well. Defunding waters of the U.S. Other conservative priorities, we only enact them if we keep the government open and pass a budget.
Well, now, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I understand that,
we lose all of it.
Okay, here's the real question, the multi-trillion-dollar question. Are you willing to stay in Washington through Christmas, staying away from a continuing resolution if this president insists on funding stuff that are so at odds with the will of the American people and the conservative movement? 15 seconds.
Absolutely. We shouldn't leave town. Listen, I've introduced a 40-hour work week for Congress. We need to do more to get back to governing. We need to work harder. That's why we ran. We shouldn't abandon our principles and abandon our responsibility to govern.
Fair enough. David Jolly, Congressman from Florida, we appreciate your time, and there's more straight ahead.